Hi guys, welcome to Creative Chess channel. Today I'm going to tell you some words about Capablanca's rules. So, rule number one. These rules were formed by world champion Jose Raul Capablanca. And rule number one says that if you don't have a bishop and your opponent has a bishop, then you need to put your pawns on their color same to the color of your opponent's bishop. And first we're going to look at the position which happened in the game between Lasker and Capablanca. Capablanca was playing black, it was his move, and following his rule, he put the pawn on f6. Again, so if your opponent has a bishop, for example, dark square bishop like here, you need to put your pawns on the same color as your bishop to restrict its mobility. So in the game they were followed f3 and again you see h6, some more restrictions. White has some maybe some space advantage, but unfortunately for them, if one day they decide to bring their bishop somewhere else for a more active square, they won't find any because black is putting their pieces in such a way that they restricted all the possibilities of activation of this bishop. There was also one interesting episode when Lasker played bishop c3 and Capablanca again, to restrict the bishop, played a5, putting the pawn on the dark square. Rook is attacking the pawn, but b6, no problem. Now have a look at the position. All black pawns are standing on the color of the opponent's bishop. It means that bishop doesn't have any good squares. It lacks mobility, it lacks space. That's why after several moves, opponents just agreed to the draw because actually it's a very drawish position and they stopped playing and agreed to a draw. So let's have a look at the rule of Capablanca number 2. If you have a bishop, you need to put your pawns on the opposite color of your bishop. On the squares of the opposite color, yes. So for example, if you have light square bishop, you should put your pawns on dark squares, like here. So let's have a look how white outplayed black there. Here, if we pay attention that our pawns are standing on dark squares, whereas black pawns are standing all in white squares. What does it mean? Yes, maybe black's bishop has a lot of space to go, but at the same time it can't attack any pawns of white. Only this one, but probably it will sooner or later come to b4. And vice versa happens with the light square bishop, with our bishop, because it can go, for example, here and start attacking black pawns from the back. So that is a great difference. So let's have a look how the game proceeded. h4. White, following the second rule of Capablanca, put their pawn on the opposite color of their bishop. And now you see b4. Now all white pawns are standing on the square, so the opposite color to their bishop, and vice versa is happening with the black bishop. And you see that white is coming to attack the pawns from the back, how I have already told you. At the moment, black can protect the pawn, but white shifts to another side of the board. It's not that easy. You need to be careful. You need to be patient. Here first white just was standing, coming to and fro, and now they're ready for f5. So black took the pawn and white takes. We need to mention that if they had taken with the gf, then you see that we can take the pawn and we have the passed pawn here. White is just winning. So something like that might have happened. we are taking this pawn, taking under control, and at the same time we want to promote ours. So h5 is played, and if black takes, we can just grab all the pawns and win. So after f5, bishop f5 was played, taken, and you see that black is in suits 1. So why? Let's have a look. So first of all, the bishop can't move because the pawn is hanging. Then the king can't move because then it gives the penetration square for white king. So that's why they played d5, but it doesn't help them because actually white, after promoting the pawn, just checkmates them. Check. It's forced checkmate in several moves. Yeah, again, so let's have a look. If we return, if you have a bishop, then you need to put your pawns on the opposite square, on the opposite color squares to your bishop. But guys, it is chess, you know, and in chess there are a lot of exclusions. And let's have a look at this position. Nearly the same. It may seem to us that it's nearly the same as the previous one, but no. It turned out that it's completely different, and this position breaks all Capablanca's rule. So you see, in a lot of cases it works, but in a lot of cases it doesn't work. So be careful, guys. Be very careful. So if we have a look, yes, so we have light square bishop, and if we follow the second Capablanca rule, we should put our pawns on the black squares. But here white made the best move in this position, and this move is a4. Breaking Capablanca's rule, we put our pawn on the light square, though our bishop is also light square. So why is that? Because we don't want black to play b5. We don't want, for example, if we carelessly play something like king d4, then they might play b5, and then it will be easier for them to protect the pawn. Maybe they can come from here and protect the pawn with their bishop. So white just doesn't want them to play b5, that's why they play a4. Okay, black play g5, king d4, and again, we are breaking Capablanca rule for the second time. We put nearly all our pawns on the light squares, breaking Capablanca rule. b4 and b5. The third time Capablanca rule is broken. But here you have white has a very nice and simple idea at the same time. They just want to put their bishop attacking the pawn, and after black protect this pawn. Actually, this is the idea of b5, because now black can't protect the pawn from c6, because they can be captured. So just imagine the bishop is standing here, this bishop is protecting the pawn, and we just can play e4, and it's a pin. Yes, that's a pin. That's why here automatically black is losing their pawn on d5. Yeah, e4 takes. So here is pawn endgame. It seems maybe that it looks drawish, but no. It might look drawish because you see that white doesn't have any penetration squares, but in this variation we may play a5, and this move helps us. d6. Yeah, both sides are promoting the queens, but actually white's position is much better. Actually, it's winning after king goes to b6. Guys were playing for some more moves. We're not going to follow them, but it's clear that white is winning because their pawn is promoting. Okay, guys, let's repeat again, so one more time. Capablanca rule number 1. If you have a bishop, if you don't have a bishop, but your opponent has a bishop, you need to put your pawns on the color of the same, the same color squares as your opponent's bishop. So Okay, to cut a long story short, if, for example, your opponent has a dark square bishop, you need to put all your pawns on dark squares like Capablanca did in the game against Lasker. Rule number 2. If you have a bishop, then you need to put your pawns on the opposite color squares to your bishop. So example is this one. So if you have this bishop on light square, your bishop, then you need to put the pawns on black squares, on dark squares. And don't forget that this is chess. It is live. And sometimes, like in this position, you have to break all the rules and follow your instincts, because here you see that nearly all the pawns, yes, all the pawns are standing on white squares of the color of your bishop, breaking Capablanca rule. White is winning here. So guys, be careful. That's why we like chess. So, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube chess channel. Thank you, and bye bye.